Although T-drill can mechanically form T-fittings in stainless steel, as well as copper all the way up to a 34-inch outlet on a 60-inch run, this training video will demonstrate the correct way to operate a portable T-drill on a copper tube of up to 6-inch diameter. It does not matter whether it's a model T-50, which has not been made since 1987, or the newest generation, the T-65. The basic operation is almost the same. All models are widely used to mechanically form T-fittings on plumbing, solar, HVAC, refrigeration, and service applications. Both new construction and repiping are valid applications. If your T-drill is a model T-50, T-55, TD-55, T-60, or the latest T-65, it will mechanically form T-fittings from 1/2 by 1/2 inch up to 4 by 2 inch Ts on M, L, or K copper tubing. With an optional 6-inch counterplate, the T-65 can form Ts in tubing up to 6 inches. Size on same size Ts are possible. At the end of this training video, instruction will be given on the use of the model T-35, which has a maximum size capability of 1 1/4 T on 2.5 mains. T-drill complies with over 26 different codes and standards, ranging from ASTM B31.9 to Uniform Plumbing Code. Download latest submittal data from our website. All copper T-drill Ts need to be brazed with 0% through 15% silver contents, also known as B-Cup 2 to B-Cup 5 braze rods. Solder is not allowed. Each carrying case includes all the components required to mechanically form the T-fitting sizes as previously mentioned. There are 3 ways to refresh your memory on how to properly operate the T-drill. In the lid of each case is a capacity and instruction chart. Refer to the appropriate legend number and follow the instructions. The instruction manual can also be referenced, or call the service department at T-drill toll-free at 1-800-554-2730. Although T-drill heads come from the factory pre-adjusted, after several hundred outlets, an adjustment of the forming pins will be necessary. This is made easier by the use of the sizing gauges. The size of the T-drill head is stamped on the bottom of the base plate. Nominal plumbing size is on the top right-hand side of the base plate. The sizing gauge and rings will also have dimensions marked on them. To adjust the forming pins, first extend them to their fully open position by holding the T-drill head in one hand and pushing the drill core up, turning it to the right. When the forming pins are fully extended, turn the T-drill head over and using the 3mm hex wrench provided with the T-drill package, loosen the 2 set screws on the back of the T-drill head. One turn by holding the base plate stationary and turning the cone-shaped cover just slightly. You can see how the forming pins extend and retract for adjustment. Retract the forming pins about halfway. Now, place the T-drill head with the pins only partially extended into the appropriate gauge. Turn the base plate clockwise while holding the cone-shaped cover in a stationary position. At this point, the forming pins should be pressing tightly against the sides of the gauge, while keeping tension on both the base plate and the cone-shaped cover to eliminate any spring back. Gently tighten the set screws using the 3mm hex wrench. Do not over-torque the set screw when tightening. Once this adjustment is made, another should not be necessary for several hundred outlets. To chuck the T-drill head into the T-drill, point the drive unit upright. Turn the chuck ring counterclockwise and drop in the shank of the T-drill. Let go of the chuck ring. It may be necessary to raise the T-drill head 1/2 inch while turning it to allow the T-drill head to chuck properly. It will make an audible click when it chucks. If the forming pins on the T-drill head are not already extended, pull the cone-shaped cover back towards the drill core and turn the T-drill head to the left or counterclockwise to extend the forming pins. Use the T-drill lubrication applicator to put a small amount of lubricant on each forming pin and each cutting surface. This also cleans away any copper fragments that may have appeared to the forming pins from the previous outlet. This should be done for each T that is created. If needed, the lubrication can be applied straight from the bottle. Use only code-approved T-drill lubricant. Start drilling by shifting the speed indicator to high speed. It may be necessary to bump the trigger in order to engage this lever. To center the T-drill on the copper tube, place one support foot on either side of the tube and twist the T-drill to the left. Place your left thumb on the thumb guard and drill the pilot hole. After the drill stops, pull back on the T-drill head and turn it counterclockwise. This extends the forming pins. You will hear an audible click when the forming pins are fully extended. For some large size outlets, the instruction chart will tell you to use a slow speed. Engage the feed mechanism. The power legs will push away from the tube as the outlet is automatically formed. Maintain some pressure towards the tube. Do not help the T-drill form the outlet by pulling it away from the tube. If you do, an egg-shaped outlet will be the result. To comply with code, the end of the branch tube needs to be notched and dimpled to prevent the branch tube from going too far into the main line and causing flow restrictions. Start by selecting the appropriate branch size on the tube end notcher. Rotate the die until it is opposite to the base plate for maximum leverage. The handle should face opposite direction of the tube. Insert the reamed branch tube into the proper die size and push the handle down toward the base plate. This will simultaneously cut a notch in the branch tube that matches the curve of the run tube and places two external dimples above each notch. One dimple acts as a depth stop and the other solely as a point of inspection. Rotate the tube 180 degrees and again push the handle down toward the base plate. Your branch tube is now ready for insertion into the outlet. Although the T-drill lubricant is environmentally friendly and disintegrates while brazing, the excess lubricant should still be wiped away. Sandcloth or Scotch-Brite should be used to clean the interior of the outlet prior to insertion of the branch tube. When the branch tube is inserted in the run tube, make sure that the dimples are in line with the run of the tube. Do not try to force the first dimple inside the tube. The first dimple, which acts as a depth stop and rests on the top of the rim of the outlet that has been mechanically formed. The second dimple acts as a point of inspection and is visible even if the first dimple gets covered by braze. This also creates the only joint on the market that can be inspected after it has been installed. You can also notch and dimple a fitting with one side street anywhere from elbows to threaded fittings. After the T-drill joint is brazed, it's stronger than the copper itself. On all copper mains 2.5 inches and above in diameter, it's very important to anneal the area where the outlet is to be formed to about 1400 degrees that appears dull red in color. You may want to go ahead and pre-anneal several areas where outlets will be formed and come back to work on a cool spot later. The annealed area will stay soft even when the copper cools to room temperature. Also, counterplate is needed when working on 2.5 inch or larger mains. The chain and wing nut secure the counterplate on the tube. The notches in the tube support correspond with the tabs on the counterplate. Extend the legs out. Secure the T-drill on the counterplate, matching the tabs with the notches, and drill the pilot hole at high speed until the T-drill head penetrates the tube wall. Although you will continue to apply steady pressure, allow the T-drill head to do the cutting for you, so that you'll get the maximum life from the T-drill head cutting surface. Once the pilot hole is drilled, notice that 95% of the copper from the pilot hole pigtails away from the tube. Later, when the outlet is complete, remember that in order to conform to the code and specification, it's important to retrieve or flush out any copper fragments in the tube, along with other debris that may have accumulated during installation. Next, extend the forming pins by pulling back on the T-drill head and turning it counterclockwise until you hear the click that indicates the forming pins are fully extended. Shift the speed selector to slow speed and engage the feed mechanism. It is possible that each of these functions may require a bump of the trigger. Pull the trigger on the T-drill. Sometimes, when forming large-size Ts, you may want to retighten the counterplate chain while the machine is forming the outlet. After the outlet is formed, wipe off excess lubrication and use sandcloth or Scotch-Brite to clean the T. Ream, notch, and dimple the branch tube and line up the dimples with the run of the tube. T is now ready for brazing. When forming 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch outlets in large size mains, the forming pins will not extend due to the wall thickness of the tube. The simple way to overcome this issue is to use a reamer on the inside of the pilot hole so that the forming pins can then extend. To begin this process, start by attaching the counterplate onto the tube, lube the collaring head, and drill the pilot hole with high speed. Remove unit while leaving the counterplate attached to the tube. Anneal around pilot hole until it glows a dull red. Wait until tube cools and ream a path inside of the pilot hole for pins to extend. Reattach unit to the counterplate and pull outlet with low speed. T-Drill has optional 1/4 and 3/8 inch collaring heads available that are not part of the standard kit. The stock T-65 can handle up to 4-inch copper mains, but with an optional 6-inch counterplate attachment, capacity grows to a maximum of 6-inch in diameter. Replace stock support feet with 6-inch support feet when working on tubes between 4 and 6 inches. The process is still the same as before. The model T-35 operates in the same manner as the models you just learned to use, with just a few exceptions. First, these models have 1-speed fast. The maximum run tube size that can be used is 2.5 inches. The maximum outlet size is 1 1/4 inches. If used beyond these maximum capabilities, severe damage will result. After reading the manual and watching this video, take the T-Drill certification test online at www.t-drill.com/test. Save and print the PDF certification file for your records. Send your T-Drill heads only to T-Drill Industries Incorporated for resharpening. For additional assistance, call T-Drill toll-free at 1-800-554-2730 or visit our website at www.t-drill.com. And thank you for using T-Drill.